In the winter of 2022, police officers surrounded a quiet warehouse on the edge of Detroit. Inside that building were over 50 luxury vehicles. Mercedes, Porsches, Range Rovers, all freshly restored. The total value of the cars inside was estimated at nearly $4 million. The police believe they had just uncovered one of the largest stolen luxury car operations in Michigan. But when they opened the files and checked the documents, something strange happened. Every car was legal. Every title was valid. Every transaction was documented. And the man behind the operation? He wasn't a criminal mastermind. He was a quiet mechanic named Noah Mercer, a man who, just 2 years earlier, could barely afford rent. So the real question wasn't whether Noah Mercer was breaking the law. The real question was how a struggling mechanic discovered a loophole that turned junk cars into a $4 million empire, and why the entire auto industry never noticed it happening. Before the warehouse, before the luxury cars, Noah Mercer lived a very ordinary life. His garage sat between two abandoned buildings on the east side of Detroit. The sign above the door read, Mercer Auto Repair. But most days, there weren't many cars to repair. Detroit had hundreds of small garages like his, and competition was brutal. Some weeks Noah barely made enough money to cover rent on the building. Other weeks he slept inside the garage just to avoid driving home in the snow after midnight. His tools were old. His office was a folding chair and a wooden desk, and his bank account rarely went above $300. But Noah had something most mechanics didn't. He was obsessive. Not about engines, about systems. He noticed patterns other people ignored. How parts moved through salvage yards. How auctions worked. How insurance companies disposed of vehicles. And that curiosity eventually led him to something strange. Something that most people in the auto industry had completely overlooked. One night, after closing his garage, Noah drove to a salvage yard outside the city. Mechanics often visited these places looking for cheap spare parts. But while walking through rows of wrecked vehicles, Noah noticed something unusual. Many of the cars weren't destroyed. They had minor damage. A cracked bumper, a dented door, a broken headlight. But the cars themselves were extremely valuable. Luxury models, some worth over $80,000 when new. Yet they were being sold as total losses. To Noah, that made no sense. So he asked the yard manager, why scrap a car that could easily be repaired? The manager laughed and gave a simple answer. Insurance companies didn't want to deal with repairs. If the repair estimate crossed a certain percentage of the vehicle's value, the car was declared a salvage loss, even if the damage was minor. Most buyers at these auctions avoided salvage cars. They believed they were unreliable or impossible to resell. But Noah saw something different. He saw an inefficiency, and inefficiencies are where money hides. The next week, Noah took a risk, a big one. He used almost every dollar in his bank account to buy a damaged luxury sedan at auction. The car looked terrible. The front bumper was smashed. The hood was bent. The paint was scratched. But underneath the damage, the engine was perfect. The frame was straight. And the repair costs were far lower than the insurance company estimated. Noah spent 3 days rebuilding the car in his garage, replacing parts, repainting panels, testing the engine again and again. When he finished, the car looked brand new. He listed it online. Within 48 hours, someone drove from another state to buy it. Profit from that single car? Almost $7,000. To most people, that might not sound like much. But to Noah Mercer, it was everything. Because it proved something. The system wasn't broken. It was just misunderstood. After that first sale, Noah became obsessed. He began studying salvage auctions every night, tracking prices, comparing repair costs, calculating resale values. Soon his tiny garage started filling with vehicles. First 2, then 5, then 10. Each car followed the same formula. Buy low, repair quickly, sell across state lines where buyers didn't care about salvage history as much. Word started spreading among online buyers. There was a garage in Detroit that restored luxury cars better than dealerships. Some buyers didn't even inspect the cars before purchasing. They trusted the reputation. Within 6 months, Noah wasn't fixing engines anymore. He was running an assembly line of restoration. His garage expanded. He rented additional storage space. And eventually, he moved operations into a massive warehouse. Inside that building, rows of restored luxury vehicles waited for buyers. The numbers were staggering. What started as one repaired sedan had turned into an operation, moving dozens of cars every month. Revenue crossed $4 million. But success brings attention, and attention brings problems. Around this time, Detroit police began investigating a rise in luxury car theft reports. Several stolen vehicles had suspicious paperwork. Some investigators believed a large stolen car operation was operating in the region, and one warehouse kept appearing in transaction records. Noah Mercer's warehouse. To the police, the situation looked suspicious. Why would one mechanic suddenly control dozens of high-end vehicles? Where were they coming from? And why were so many being sold across state lines? So they opened an investigation. Weeks later, a warrant was issued. Police vehicles surrounded Noah's warehouse early one morning. Officers entered the building expecting to find evidence of a criminal operation. Instead, they found something unexpected. Organized repair stations, stacks of auction receipts, legal salvage titles for every vehicle, inspection documents, repair logs, insurance paperwork. Every single car in the warehouse had been purchased legally through salvage auctions. Every repair followed state regulations. Every sale had proper documentation. Noah Mercer wasn't stealing cars. He had simply discovered a loophole in how insurance companies valued damaged vehicles. A loophole nobody else bothered to exploit. The police closed the investigation. No charges, no confiscations. But Noah's success story didn't end there. Because the biggest threat to his empire wasn't the law. It was competition. As Noah's reputation grew, more buyers entered the salvage car market. Competitors began copying his strategy. But one competitor stood out. This new operation was expanding rapidly, faster than anyone expected. They were buying the same vehicles Noah targeted, sometimes even outbidding him. Eventually, Noah discovered something shocking. The man running the competing operation was someone he knew very well. His former employee, a mechanic who once worked inside Noah's own garage. The employee had learned everything. The auction strategies, the repair systems, the pricing formulas. And now he was using that knowledge to build a rival empire. Suddenly, the quiet mechanic who once struggled to survive had created something much bigger than a garage. He had accidentally built an entire new market. A market where damaged luxury cars weren't junk. They were hidden assets. Today, salvage auctions across the United States look very different. Thousands of buyers now compete for the same vehicles Noah once bought unnoticed. Prices have risen. Competition is fierce. And the loophole he discovered is no longer a secret. But the story of Noah Mercer still teaches an important lesson. Most people walk through salvage yards and see broken machines, scrap metal, worthless vehicles. Noah Mercer saw something else. He saw value hiding behind misunderstanding. And sometimes, the difference between junk and opportunity is simply the person willing to look closer. Because the biggest fortunes are rarely found in brand new ideas. They're found in systems everyone else stopped paying attention to. And in a small Detroit garage, one mechanic proved that sometimes junk really can print money.